In real estate, there are moments where you come up against the wall, right? The wall where you've bought a certain number of homes and you can't get past that. Today, we're going to talk about how to buy more than 4 investment properties with banks. All right, my fellow Limitless TV compadres, compadre, is that a right word? Anyway, I got a question here. Hey Kris, great video. I'm working on my 3rd home, but how do I continue to get funding after 4 properties if the banks start saying no? First of all, I'm not Kris, I'm Steven, so get it right, Pablo. Second of all, I'm just kidding, but let's go ahead and answer your question here. You're looking at getting into more homes after your 4th home. The reality is most banks will, I shouldn't say most banks, government regulations allow banks to loan up to 10 properties right now. That does fluctuate and change. Sometimes it goes back down to 4, sometimes it goes back to 10. So depending on where you are, maybe it's, when you're watching this, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 4. But how do I get past that mark where they say I can't do any more? There's a couple of things that I want to talk about here. If banks say no, there's something that you want to look at. You want to look at your debt to income ratio, right? That's one of the biggest factors in determining whether or not they want to loan to you. Outside of you having the money and you having great credit, they're going to be looking at your debt to income ratio. In other words, based on the income that you have, how much debt are you carrying? How much money are you borrowing? And that's in terms of student loans, as well as car loans, as well as home loans, and all those different things. They take a look at all of that kind of in one big conglomerate. So what is your debt to income ratio? And if it's high, how can you lower that debt to income ratio? There's a couple different things that you can do. Number 1 is to earn more money. Number 2 is to get rid of some of the unneeded expenses that you might have that can, pay off some of that debt maybe, that can free up some space for you to be able to go out and do more. So if you've got some car loans, this could mean making some sacrifice. Maybe you sell off the nice car that you've got and get a smaller car or a less expensive car for cash or for a less monthly payment to free up some of that debt to income ratio to allow you to go out and buy more real estate. Another option that you can do if the banks are saying no to you right now is you can partner with other people. And by the way, this is something that you're going to have to do no matter what at some point if you want to grow your portfolio beyond X amount of homes, whether that's 4 or 10 or whatever. At some point, you're going to need to learn how to partner. Now, partnering can come in a lot of different ways. You can partner with somebody who has the money and you have the credit, right? You can partner if you don't have the credit or you use as much as you can, then you can partner with someone that has the credit if you have the money. You could partner with somebody that has the money and credit and you do all the work, right? So there's a lot of different ways that you can partner to get around this, the bank won't let me type of scenario. So partnering is another solution. A third solution, another thing that I've been thinking about here is going to new banks or new lenders, right? Oftentimes when we get stopped in our tracks, when we're ready to go and we're at home number 3 or 4, maybe we're trying to get number 5, but our bank says, hey, I'm not going to loan to you anymore. One bank is not all banks, right? Every bank has different guidelines, different regulations, different underwriting rules. And that's really important to understand because although one bank may say no, there may be another bank that's going to say yes. You may go to 10 banks that say no or 10 different lenders that say no, and it's that 11th lender who says, actually, I like this individual, I like where they're at, I like what they're doing, and it's working, so I'll loan to you, right? So don't just stop with 1, don't even just stop with 5 or 10, continue on, and even if someone is saying, hey, you're not going to get this loan, I would say do everything that you can in your power to defy those odds and to get after it and to find the bank or the lender that will loan to you. So that's another one. The 4th option that I can see here, and this is probably the last option that as I'm just kind of going through and thinking about this, is to trade old investments for maybe new investments. In other words, it may be worth taking a look at the last 3 homes that you have or the last 4 homes that you've done and that you're holding on to. Do a proper evaluation on those homes. Are they paying you enough, right? Are you earning 15 to 25% on your money on each property individually? Because if you're not, it could be worth selling that property and getting a different property that will produce better for you. One of the big benefits that people have seen in working with Kris and I over the years is oftentimes the homes that they purchase with us and our team will lower or will work to lower their debt to income ratio. How does it do that? Well, There are certain lenders and certain banks that will allow you to take 75% of the subject property that you're buying, of their projected rent, and to count that as income. So just a quick example here. If you're buying a home and the monthly payment on that home is, let's call it $650 a month, but the rent is $1,000 a month, the bank will allow you to take 75% or $750 of that to apply as income, right? Now, if that's income, so if you incurred $750 or $650 of debt, but because of this property you're buying, it's actually giving you, they're allowing you to count $750 of that as income, then you've just actually lowered your debt to income ratio rather than increasing it with each new property. If you're able to lower your debt to income ratio with each property that you do, the banks are more than willing and ready to loan out more and more and more real estate or money to you so you can buy more and more real estate regardless of how many it is, right? Until you get to your actual limit. So hopefully those options have helped. If you haven't kind of got into those options yet, Pablo, I recommend get into those, do some of those different things, check your debt to income ratio, try to adjust that, look into partnering, talk to some new banks, and then look at your old investments, your current investments that you have, and see if there's things that you can do to improve some of those numbers based on maybe either swapping out some old investments for some new investments, maybe even going as far as to doing a clean slate wipe, right? Just liquidating everything you have and starting new into some new investments. That's also sometimes an option that makes a lot of sense. Hey, thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. We so much appreciate it. If you've got any other questions, please put them in the comments below. If you want to say hi, put them in the comments below as well. And with that, why don't you jump over and watch another video or two.